I know a lot of things happened yesterday, but a lot more has happened today. What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I think it's kind of nerve-wracking to consider how um, these places are all about kind of making money in general, and the fact that this is serious enough that they are willing to cancel big tournaments where they are getting big money from fans attending and TV deals. It shows to me that maybe they know something that's like pretty serious about it. Maybe even more than the general public knows at this point. The NCAA, just I kind of think we know in general, is all about making money, and just to cancel all these tournaments, all the Power Five conference tournaments in basketball canceled today. I was actually on my way to Vegas for USC's first round game. When we got the notification, had to turn around and drive an hour back, which was fun. Um, NIT completely canceled, like I think you said. So that's kind of what strikes me now is the seriousness of the situation is reflected in the results of what we're seeing.
Yeah, well, I think one of the really interesting things is kind of what's going to happen with these teams, right? So you cancel the season, right? You cancel spring practice. That has impacts on recruiting, that has impacts on the university as a whole, right? The University USC canceled all tours so far for the university, so they're taking a hit in the recruiting of just regular students as well. And then you also have the eligibility concerns. These players are here for 4 years, they're allowed to play 4 years in the NCAA, and now what happens? They lose half of their season. Do they lose that year of eligibility, that extra year? Do they give them another? What do they do? So I think that's something you're going to really have to watch out for. It obviously it's horrible that we are missing out on some great times of sports right now. I mean, I was really excited for the Pac-12 tournament, seeing USC in it, but obviously, I mean, the risks definitely outweigh the benefits of playing and it kind of pales in comparison right now. I mean, what are your thoughts on recruiting? How this is going to impact universities? I mean, they're all on a level playing field for the most part, or eventually will be. So, I mean, what are your thoughts?
I think who you're gonna see who kind of like rises above everyone else in terms of being able to like kind of have all their stuff together. So that's you know just talking about USC, it's not going to be very good for them because we haven't really seen that from them in general. But um, in terms of recruiting, maybe this encourages more players. Depending on how long this goes, this might encourage more players to stay. At home, we've seen a lot of recruits from California leave the state to go to other places, go to Oregon, go to Alabama, that kind of place. I don't know. Maybe we might see a seismic shift in recruiting because people want to stay at home and stay near their families if this thing is a multiple month long process. I mean, we're dealing with stuff that we haven't really seen very often before, and the impact that that has on recruiting is especially important because coaches can't even travel to talk to kids in probably a lot of situations. There was going to be spring football; it's not happening anymore. You would think, oh, that frees up the coaching staff to go and talk to more recruits, but you can't go into airports unless you want to risk exposing yourself to the virus. So. Just the way that everyone's basically going to have to like hunker down at this point is super impactful to me.
Yeah, I mean, you can if you watch Sports Scene from yesterday, Trevor Denton put it as certain doom. So interesting stuff there. I don't know. I think it really impacts USC a lot. I mean, the spring practice I mean, the marketing around spring practice this year was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, they were really pushing. Fans are going to be allowed to every practice. We're going to be hitting in practice. This is going to be huge. And the athletic department really started turning around for USC. I wrote a column this past weekend that said the athletic department's moving in the exact right way. Basketball is firing on all cylinders. Baseball was firing on cylinders. They beat TCU and Vanderbilt. Basketball beat UCLA, going into the tournament on a hot streak. And that's exactly what they needed after such a terrible season from how the fans saw it from the football team.
Yeah.
Um, and now they can't reconcile that, and it's just kind of in limbo right now, which is it sucks for them, but obviously there's not much you can do. So it's really unfortunate. I mean, it really kind of sucks, and I don't know what there is to do. Yeah, I mean the MLB spring training being canceled, the Olympics potentially, the lighting of the torch is scheduled for uh I think it's sometime this week. If I'm if I wrote this down correctly, in Greece with no fans.
Yeah.
They're talking about already postponing the Olympics. That doesn't even start until the end of July. That's how far this thing can really go. I saw something that said it might not even peak for 3 to 6 months. if this doesn't peak for 3 to 6 months and we're already canceling all these things, I'm really afraid to see what happens. I mean, it's weird. Football could be pushed back. The start of the NFL, the start of college football next year could be pushed back, or just not happen. I don't know. It's a weird time. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and I think you're seeing people take this more seriously than maybe they have previously. Everybody, I think, knows the story of Rudy Gobert, the Jazz center, who was maybe a little careless with his treatment of this whole thing. Touching reporters' mics, touching player his teammates' stuff in the locker room. He didn't seem to be particularly worried about it, and then I think he was the first major athlete to uh, come through as positive for coronavirus. And then, a few hours later it comes out, okay, Donovan Mitchell has it too, his teammate. So I think that you're seeing kind of the result of people not taking things seriously for sure, and how that can really leave you with egg on your face. And in the case of Rudy Gobert, and doing that to other people, who knows how many other people he could have spread it to. They've played, like we said, I think the incubation period for this is like 2 weeks or something is what it said. And, you know, NBA players are playing every other night. They're in a new city pretty much every other night. And the number of people that could have been affected by that is enormous, especially when you consider. I mean, I challenge you all out there. You're not going out to play pickup basketball, right? You're not going to go share a basketball with someone right now with this going on. And that's what NBA players are doing every other night, every 3 nights. So that's definitely super. Is definitely something that I've seen is, as the virus has kind of affected some of our American, ideals, or standards of what we find to be entertaining, like basketball. I know everybody started to react when Tom Hanks was reported to get it. It only matters when famous celebrities or sports are affected in America, and I think you're just seeing people start to take it a lot more seriously now, especially in this country.
Yeah, I mean, well, the other thing is if you're trapped indoors, usually what you do is watch sports for a lot of, at least that's what I do, and now we don't even have that. And now there's the ban on travel to Europe that's going into effect. Is that going into effect tonight or tomorrow night? Uh,
Friday, I think.
Friday night. So tomorrow night. The other thing, the XFL. We were doing coverage of the XFL. It's being impacted right now. The Seattle Dragons hosting LA this weekend without fans in attendance. I mean, obviously Seattle is one of the places where it's getting really bad. The XFL really can't afford to not have fans in attendance. They don't have too many to begin with, and they're really trying to upstart this league. So that kind of puts a damper on things for them. I mean, it's, ATP suspended tournament for 3 weeks. USA Hockey, all championships on a local level have been canceled. The women's tournament has been canceled, except for the IIHF men's tournament in May and U18 tournament in April are still on. Like we said, the MLB's pushed back. Olympics maybe pushed back. The NHL suspended play. The NBA suspended play. I mean, it's everywhere. There's, I mean,
That's
I
kind of
don't
the point
know.
of it, isn't
It's
it?
it's the point of it, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's everything. I mean, I'd be really surprised if by the end of today, every sport at a professional or collegiate level,
Collegiate.
collegiate level are not canceled. I'm interested. Hear your thoughts. Please drop them in the stream. I really want to know what you guys are thinking, how you feel about this. I know a lot of people think this is an overreaction. And I mean, I don't know if there is an overreaction with this, but I understand where people are coming from. But I don't know your thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's kind of hard to overreact when you don't really know what you're dealing with. That's something that anybody that I've talked to is kind of saying about this is, they don't know what's going on. Nobody in public knows what's going on. And the kind of perception is that even the people who are supposed to know what's going on don't know what's going on. It's really tough to kind of handle something that hasn't really been around before. Obviously, coronavirus, for anyone who's done some research on it, is a thing that has existed before this point, but not in this sort of way, and this sort of mutation that apparently just affects people a lot more than in previous iterations. So you're dealing with something that hasn't been dealt with before. And I want to get back to the XFL really quickly. I saw an interesting tweet, which was the XFL probably didn't see a pandemic illness as one of its like barriers to becoming a major league. There are a lot of barriers to it that they were probably thinking of coming in, but I don't think that a massively spread illness was probably on that list.
I mean, I would have to. I would, if I'm Oliver Luck, the commissioner. I probably would not have planned for a massive epidemic being a barrier to entry into the football market. It's just, it's really a shame. I'm really curious about what's going to happen with eligibility. I mean, What do you? This has never happened before. I don't. This is the thing I keep going back to is the last game and the only game that I know that was played without fans. Maybe there's more that I don't know. You have a little bit more extensive of random trivia knowledge than I do. But Baltimore during the Baltimore riots, the Baltimore Orioles game. What year was that? Was that like 2013 or
It was
something?
in that area.
Somewhere around there. They played the game with no fans. One of my favorite SNL skits actually came from that. Look it up. It's a great one. But I mean, now we're not even talking about no fans. We're talking about nothing completely, which, God, I would have been really interested to see how it worked with no fans. I mean, do you think that gives an edge to like an underdog, or do you think that gives an edge to like teams that are obviously better?
I think that was the thing that I was most excited about for covering the Pac-12 tournament this weekend was the opportunity to see what a game with no fans was like. Because it's not like you said, it's not something that we've really seen before, and I was looking forward to being able to hear everything that all of the players were saying on the court. I know there was like some sort of maybe implementation where like close family members could come to the game but nobody else could come, so I was wondering what like literally just an entire family section pitted against each other would look like. Um, but I think going back to your eligibility thing is super interesting and plays into we're going to see who is organized and who is able to kind of lead in terms of institutions, because what that decision will be is very interesting. I have a friend who plays Division II baseball in Michigan, and he tweeted, it's crazy that a few days ago might have been the last time that I ever wore my uniform. That I might have worn my uniform for the last time, and this is not just affecting the things that you all maybe want to see, like USC sports, professional sports. This is affecting anybody who is in sports across the entire country, because it's a natural kind of way for the virus to spread is through big events where people are coming from all over the place and in close contact with each other. So I think you're going to see this not just play out at the professional level, at the collegiate level in D1, but you're going to see it in high school sports and middle school sports, all the way down to the lowest levels. And it's really going to be interesting to see how everybody handles it, because there's so much to keep in mind. For example, if March Madness doesn't end up happening, is there just no champion for this year? If the NBA doesn't happen, is there just no champion? Does that championship from next year count for two? I think that's an interesting. No, I'm joking.
Double or
But
nothing action.
a double or nothing championship. No, I'm joking. That's not a legitimate thing. But I think you go down the rabbit hole of all this stuff, and there's so many things to consider.
You know what? This is not your area of expertise, and I looked behind me because I wanted to see if Oliver Scott was here, our esports editor at Aidan Berg Media. Esports. Is this the time where esports come into the mainstream? I mean, look at this. You can all play. Obviously, you want to be in a space where you are next to each other, but you can play separated, right? We can have a team all in different places, and we can be communicating still, via Discord or something like that on a call. Esports can still go, right? I mean, not in the full capacity. You're not going to have giant stadiums filled with people, but you're not gonna have teams that are together. But a lot of these teams live in the same house. I don't see how it's different. I think if you play these tournaments remotely, it's completely possible to keep esports going. If esports are the only sport on TV, what are you gonna watch? Come on. I think it'd be really interesting. I really wish Oliver was here. I want to maybe call him in or something. I think that'd be a really interesting discussion with him. Yeah, so I'm pumped. I mean, the other thing is these broadcasting networks are it's huge because I mean they're losing so many TV deals right now. What is going to be on ESPN after like this kind of like after the original news of it blows over? What's going to be on ESPN? I know there was a comment. Can you tell me what that said? I can't find it on my phone right now.
What's the sports desk going to be doing for the next month?
What's the sports desk going to be doing for the next month? As sports director, you would think I'd have a better answer. The answer right now is I don't know. The answer is we are going to figure out what we can do and do that. There's no sports to report on, so I don't know. I will be writing a letter from the editor today, just kind of explaining everything that's happening and what we plan to do once I figure it out. I have to have meetings with the director of the media center and our executive editor, Ruby N, today to figure out what we're going to do. But I mean, we're going to report on any new news that happens. We will always be reporting. we can't have access, so maybe phone calls is what we need to do. But I mean, we're not stopping coverage. I might be doing it from back home in Detroit. Um, we'll see.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what it is. I wish I had a better answer for you guys, but there will be coverage. So stay tuned.
I think that most of the coverage that you're going to see is what's going on. How has this impacted the sports scene? I mean, we're already doing that, obviously, but I would be very interested to talk to athletes and get their stories about what it was like for them when they heard that their season was over. Most likely, what kind of like the whole process was, because this has been a story for months at this point, and how it kind of developed, how teams have handled it, how players have handled it. I think is definitely something that we could hopefully get into in our coverage. Something that I would be very interested in covering for sure. It gets tough when you don't have necessarily access to people because you can't meet them in person, like you were talking about, because of all the concerns about this stuff. And then I think in the meantime, you're going to see a lot of columns about about this, whatever is going on. Maybe our opinions about what we're seeing. Maybe some underrated questions. That's what I plan for my column that's coming out tomorrow. Make sure you give it a read. Some underrated questions about how the coronavirus is impacting sports. So, just trying to figure out any way that we can give you news, give you, analysis of how this impacts sports, because obviously it goes beyond sports, but we're seeing a lot of the news that's coming out about it right now is sports related, and how it's affecting kind of sports culture.
Well, I think, anytime that sports is involved in something, I mean, there's a lot of money, there's a lot of interest. So canceling things like these are no small matter. And I mean, this is just kind of, they don't want to put themselves into a situation where it's like, we had this event, we had March Madness with people there, and then two teams just got infected. I mean, you have one player on the two teams, as you saw with the NBA, and then potentially up to, let's say, I mean, you have 20 players, whatever it is. You have all of the coaching staff, you have all the supporting staff, you have all the people that are working in the facility. I mean, you have 100, 150 people still in the building, even if you don't have fans. I kind of want to call in Michael. He's coming back. I know he's on the stream right now, so maybe he's listening to this on the way back. I kind of want to give him a call. Let me give him a call. I want to hear your thoughts on kind of where everything else is going right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think getting back into kind of some of the organizational stuff, and what you're going to be seeing from that is how do these organizations handle like what's going on. It's totally unprecedented. That's why medical staff and other institutions across the country outside of sports are kind of floundering right now for what to do. And that's not going to be any different for sports staffs. In fact, it might be even worse because they have a lot of different other things to focus on. So handling, eligibility, do you get to pass on to that next year? Do you get to have an extra year of eligibility? Whereas like maybe the cutoff for that, I know some sports are, already more in motion. Women's lacrosse season has been going on for a while. Is that different in terms of eligibility from baseball? That's something that you can get into, just talking about the championships, kind of like we were talking about, who wins the Pac-12 this year. If they're not having a tournament, I think that they said whoever wins the regular season is going to be named like the automatic bid if March Madness does end up happening. There's just so much to consider. And we're at a loss, as you can probably tell. We don't really know what's going on any better than anyone else. So.
I got Michael on the phone.
All
Michael
right.
Loy is on the phone, driving back from Vegas. Michael, you're live on the stream right now. Michael is our senior sports editor. He's along with Amanda Sturgis, our editor, Lingua, our photographer, Eddie Sun, and Reagan Griffin Jr., two of our basketball reporters. Michael, can you describe kind of what's been happening today that you've seen? What have you experienced now that you're, I guess, I don't know if you're on your way back from Vegas, if you guys are planning to hang out there.
Yeah, we were just listening to your stream before we were about to head out. I mean, there's not much to report on because we arrived here last night about 11 p.m. And as a lot of beat writers were coming, they found out the tournament was canceled. So a lot of people, including Aidan right there, just turned around and came back. I mean, we're going to head out to the center to see if there are still any fans out there, but we think it's just going to be a shutdown of Vegas, honestly, soon. So it's just not much going on.
I mean, I know Reagan and Eddie were pretty stoked to see it without fans in there. I mean, have you heard anything from any of the players? I know some of them were vocal on Twitter. I know you've been reaching out to some people. I mean, what's kind of the general, census from like maybe people that you've seen, other beat writers, or kind of just how is everyone feeling?
So if you want to put Reagan and Eddie on the stream, we got both of them right here.
Yeah,
So
let me hear them.
okay, let me close the stream because I am hearing myself way too much. All right, and we got both Reagan and Eddie right here. I hope speakerphone works. We'll give it a shot. Here we go. What up, Sam?
Hey guys, what are your thoughts?
So just kind of describe what you're feeling right now. Just coming into the tournament. Think you'll get to watch some basketball with really nothing going on.
You know how hype I was to watch a basketball game with no fans, just to have the two teams go at it with none of the extra fanfare about it. But I'm not gonna lie, man, I'm a little disappointed. But we had in and out on the way here, and I always love opportunities to get in and out. But it's a little surreal with everything going with surrounding right now. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, where so much is just completely shutting down. It's really crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Eddie, what are your thoughts?
Obviously disappointing. I think more than anything, obviously we're here as reporters and we're trying to see the team and report on the team and hopefully see the team do well. But of course, with this whole situation, sports comes like way after just the basic health of everyone involved. So while it's disappointing that we don't get to spend the time here in Las Vegas and cover the team, I think obviously the Pac-12 and all the teams involved made the good decision here.
All right, guys. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you enjoy your last few hours in Vegas before you guys head back. Thanks for calling in. Wish you guys the best. Stay safe. And we'll see you shortly.
See you back in LA, and I'll see you probably tomorrow.
All right, buddy. I'll see you. That was Michael Loy alongside Reagan Griffin Jr. and Eddie's son, our beat reporters for basketball. God, I feel bad for them because they were covering the team the whole year. They were really psyched for this, and it kind of sucks. Aiden, I know you've been begging for the mic.
Yes, I have something that I need to say. This is obviously the least of concerns in terms of general concerns, but something that I had kind of thought about for the USC basketball team is the chance for this team to kind of do something special to this program. This has never been. This is probably one of the better teams that USC has had. Most certainly recently. They were almost definitely going to make the tournament if the tournament was going to happen. I think that they had an opportunity in a still kind of mediocre Pac-12, maybe not as bad as it was last year, but to make real noise in the Pac-12 tournament and maybe even jump up a few seeds. I think they were listed as a 10 before the tournament, and the chance to maybe hop up to like an 8 or a 7 maybe if they somehow won the Pac-12 tournament, and then if they carried that momentum into the NCAA tournament. What would that kind of do for their brand? I know they're already doing really well on the recruiting trail. They have Evan Mobley coming in, the #1 recruit in the nation for next year's class. Obviously, they had a really great class this year with Evan Mobley's brother Isaiah and Onyeka Okongwu. Pairing them with Jonah Matthews and Nick Rakocevic, they had a really good team this year. And I think that they had a chance to make real noise, not only in the Pac-12 tournament, but in the NCAA tournament. And when you kind of see, when you have a success like that and you're able to kind of maybe make it consistent and kind of build your brand, then you start getting more of those top recruits just off your name brand alone. They got the Mobley brothers because their dad is an assistant coach at here, and it seems pretty obvious that that's probably the case. But the opportunity to maybe get Zaire Williams from Sierra Canyon, who is maybe the top uncommitted player left in this class. If they got him and they built another strong recruiting class and they built that kind of consistency in terms of that would just carry over and kind of have a snowball effect so that they can continue to become an even better program and maybe get up to the higher levels of elite teams and really take advantage of Pac-12 that recently has been very mediocre. So I think losing the Pac-12 tournament, probably losing the NCAA tournament, is a real blow to kind of the momentum of the program.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I was talking about earlier with this athletic department trending in the right way. Spring football practice was going to be huge for USC. Like, they normally don't hit. And I was stoked for Saturday. Like, I as many fans want to see hitting. Like yesterday, I went to practice, and it's the only spring practice we're probably going to get. So take everything you want about the program for next year from this. Todd Orlando is a psycho, and I love it. Like, that guy was sprinting across the field. Like, Brew McCoy had like a 40-yard reception touchdown rate, and just whatever drills. And this dude just sprints like 40 yards to like go congratulate him. Like, the dude's a lunatic, and I love it. Like, people were getting chewed out. Like, I saw Greg Johnson just get chewed out by Craig Nybar. Like, this team is so different than what it was last year, and like, it's so sad that fans aren't able to see it. That, I mean, media is not even able to see it, and the team's not even able to see it. It's really unfortunate. The program was really trending in the right way. Baseball had turned around with head coach Jason Gill now. Dan Hubbs now out, Gill now in. Team's winning. They beat number 2 Vanderbilt, number 22 TCU. Murdered by UCLA. I can forgive that, but the program's trending in such a great way, and then this all happens. It's really unfortunate. It's really bad timing. It's very USC of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about USC, I was going over a list of things that had happened. I mean, we've been here for 3 years. We've seen a meth-smoking dean. We've seen a college admission scandal. We've seen a predatory gynecologist. We've seen... What else have we seen?
Assistant coach for basketball.
Assistant coach for basketball. I mean, I forget all of them. And now this giant scandal, all classes are moved online. We're probably taking finals online, whatever that looks like. I don't know how we do journalism classes online, but here we are. I wish I had better answers for this. I mean, I wish I had more things to say about all this. I mean, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, like you said, how do you take online classes for journalism? I have a friend I was talking to last night. He's in a drumming class. How are you supposed to do that over like nobody's able to get a gauge for your rhythm or anything? I thought that was funny. There's a bunch of situations like that across the school, and I think it definitely applies to sports too. And you see, we have classes here that is like, there's a basketball playing class. There's classes like that where you actually do sports, and now nobody can do those. How do you do those online? It's just incredible to think about how many areas this impacts, and how many ways it affects different areas. We've talked about it today with sports. It's impacted all levels of sports, from classes, like we said, to what games are being played, who's winning championships. It's really unprecedented, and I think everybody can kind of agree when we say 2020 is really coming for our necks out here.
Yeah. God, are there any updates on new things that have happened? I feel like every 5 seconds. I think the latest thing is the NHL still. God, man, I'm just, please drop questions. Give us things to talk about. I know there's more things that are going to be happening. I want to hear your thoughts on all these, on everything that's happening right now. Yeah, I'm kind of at a loss for words. Yeah, I was talking to someone yesterday. I can't remember. They're a dance major, and they've literally had Zoom calls where they have to dance in front of their camera in their room, and it's like, I feel like it just defeats the purpose. I mean, God, but I guess that's equivalently like what esports are going to be. Is that? No, that's Tucker. I thought it was Oliver. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to be watching a lot more esports now if they don't cancel them. I mean, I encourage you. I don't know. Will you cross the barrier?
Well, I was going to say, I know if I'm laid up in my room a lot, I'm going to be playing a lot more Madden and 2K. So maybe I'll become an esports player. Who knows? But I think getting back into esports is definitely something that could hit. I mean, you don't want to paint anything with this in a positive light, obviously, but esports does probably have an opportunity. It seems like the level of entertainment in terms of sports that'll be the least impacted by this. Like you said, you can just do it in your room. You can be quarantined and still stream on Twitch and get however much money you get from that. I know there's a lot of money in that, and we might be seeing even more popularity and even more money going to it in the future, and maybe the chance for esports players specifically to kind of build their celebrity a little bit. I know that's obviously enhanced tenfold, 20-fold, 100-fold in recent years over what it was previously, but really having the chance maybe to make their impact on culture right now, and kind of elevate their kind of level of celebrity, and make sure that they maybe even get to the level of pro athletes, the pro, in terms of the ones who play, football, basketball, those type of sports, and maybe getting the chance to be that type of level of celebrity.
Yeah, I mean, if there's ever a time, I mean, this is a time to capitalize on that. It sucks saying capitalize on that. I don't necessarily
Exactly,
mean
yeah.
that, but it's if there ever is a time, it's huge. You have a question or no? Gotcha. Um, yeah, I think we're gonna probably wrap up. I don't know. There's not much more that I want to say. I think we've kind of covered the grounds of everything. Any closing words, like real quick, that you want to say?
Um, Social distancing, that's important. Don't like run all up on people. That's not good. Like keep your distance. Make sure you're washing your hands. Stay safe. Be smart. Don't be like Rudy Gobert. In other words.
Jesus. Yeah. So I mean, in terms of our coverage, I think sports team might move online. If I don't know if we're gonna do sports team because there's no sports to cover, but I feel like maybe we'll do something like this. Where we can be in separate places, we can Skype people in. Definitely want to talk to athletes and see how they're feeling about this. But after the first week, I guess it's going to kind of blow over. But anyways, I want to wrap up. Sam Arslanian, Aidan Berg, here from Studio C at Aidan Berg Media on USC's campus. We're signing off. Stay tuned for more updates.